When people think of fighter jets, they often picture sleek aircraft with sharp fins, blazing engines, and ear-splitting noise as they tear through the skies. But imagine something different. A warplane that slices through the air in silence, vanishes from radar like a ghost, and maneuvers with agility so advanced it almost looks unreal. That's the vision behind the X-44 Manta, a radical aircraft concept from Lockheed Martin that promised to rewrite the rules of aerial combat. Unlike anything that came before it, this tailless jet relied on cutting-edge propulsion instead of traditional flight controls, making it stealthier, faster, and more efficient. Let's dive into what made this aircraft so special, why it never reached mass production, and how its legacy could still shape the skies of tomorrow. A revolutionary idea: flying without a tail. Every modern aircraft, from jumbo jets to nimble fighters, relies on tails and vertical stabilizers for control. These surfaces keep the plane steady, help it turn, and provide balance. The X-44 Manta, however, tossed that rulebook aside. Instead of depending on a tail, the Manta used 3D thrust vectoring, redirecting the engine's thrust in any direction to control its movements. That meant it could pitch, yaw, and roll entirely by adjusting engine output. Think of it like riding a skateboard. Instead of steering with your hands or handlebars, you shift your weight, and the board responds instantly. Now imagine doing that at supersonic speeds with military precision. This approach made the Manta far stealthier. Without vertical tails or fins, it presented a smoother radar profile, bouncing fewer signals back to enemy systems. In radar terms, it behaved more like a skipping stone than a jagged rock, born from the F-22 Raptor. The Manta wasn't built from scratch. It grew out of the highly successful F-22 Raptor program. Using the same powerful engines and core airframe, Lockheed Martin's engineers redesigned the jet with a stretched delta wing, giving it an arrowhead silhouette. This delta wing wasn't just for looks. It allowed the aircraft to carry more fuel than the F-22, extending its range for long patrols or deep strike missions. More range combined with stealth meant it could penetrate enemy defenses while staying hidden. In short, the X-44 was the Raptor's futuristic cousin, a version designed not just to improve on existing fighters, but to leap decades ahead. The NASA and U.S. Air Force project. In 1999, NASA and the United States Air Force launched a joint effort to bring the Manta concept to life. The idea was bold: test an aircraft without conventional tails, prove it could fly safely, and explore how this design could shape future combat systems. Early studies suggested flight testing could begin by 2007, either using a modified F-22 or even an older F-15 testbed. Engineers believed that if successful, this technology wouldn't just enhance fighters like the F-22 and the upcoming F-35 Lightning II, it might even influence commercial aviation, leading to faster and more efficient passenger jets. Unfortunately, by 2000, funding cuts ended the project before a prototype could ever take to the skies. The dream of the Manta seemed grounded. Why it mattered? Even though the X-44 Manta never took to the skies, it offered a striking vision of what the future of air combat could look like. By eliminating vertical tails, the aircraft would have been far stealthier, reflecting fewer radar signals and slipping past detection systems with ease. Its wide delta wing design meant greater fuel capacity, allowing for longer missions and deeper penetration into enemy territory. With fewer moving control surfaces, the jet promised improved reliability, reducing the chances of mechanical failures. Most importantly, its use of thrust vectoring alone for maneuverability gave it the potential for unmatched agility, reacting to combat situations faster than traditional fighters. Lockheed Martin itself compared this leap in design to the jump from flip phones to smartphones, not just an improvement, but a complete redefinition of the game. Enter the X-44A, the secret drone. While the X-44 Manta fighter jet never advanced beyond concept, Lockheed Martin's secretive Skunk Works division quietly produced another aircraft under the same designation, the X-44A. This unmanned aerial vehicle, built from ultralight yet incredibly strong nanocarbon fiber and powered by a Williams F-112 turbofan engine, served as an experimental platform for stealth and control technologies. Compact in size with a 30-foot wingspan, about half that of the RQ-170 Sentinel, the drone could reach speeds of 176 miles per hour and stay airborne for roughly 90 minutes. Enough for reconnaissance and testing missions despite its relatively short endurance compared to modern UAVs. What makes the X-44A particularly fascinating is its secrecy. The project remained hidden for nearly 2 decades until 2020, when it was finally unveiled to the public at the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force in Ohio, offering aviation enthusiasts their first glimpse of a once-classified piece of history. Influence on future drones and fighters. The Manta concept may have been cancelled, but its DNA survived. The no-tail design philosophy influenced later proposals like the F-22 bomber and advanced drone programs. The X-44A, meanwhile, helped pave the way for today's carrier-capable drones by testing how unmanned aircraft could land on moving ships. These flying laboratories didn't always make headlines, but their lessons shaped everything from advanced UAVs to next-generation stealth fighters. Rivals watching closely, China and Russia. Military technology has always been a game of leapfrog, with each nation racing to outdo the other. And the X-44 Manta was no exception. When the United States explored this radical tailless design, both China and Russia watched closely, determined not to fall behind. China's most advanced stealth jet today is the Chengdu J-20, with future projects like the rumored J-25 or upgraded J-31 in development. Yet these aircraft still rely on conventional tails and therefore lack the extreme stealth advantages envisioned in the Manta. Russia, meanwhile, continues to push its Sukhoi Su-57 as its flagship stealth fighter, while also promoting the Su-75 Checkmate as a cheaper fifth-generation option. However, years after its dramatic unveiling, the Checkmate has yet to fly, and Western sanctions combined with budget constraints cast doubt on whether it will ever become a real production aircraft. Russia also fields the Su-34 Fullback, a formidable fighter bomber capable of carrying heavy payloads, but since it is based on older Su-27 designs, its bulky frame and lack of stealth features make it easier to track with modern radar. When compared to America's existing F-35 or the futuristic potential of the X-44, the competition's designs already feel a step behind. Why the Manta still matters. Even though the X-44 Manta never advanced beyond blueprints, its significance remains undeniable. The project highlighted America's technological edge, signaling to the world that the U.S. was already decades ahead in experimental aircraft design. It also served as a blueprint for the future, with groundbreaking concepts like tailless flight and full thrust vector control likely to resurface in the sixth-generation fighters now on the horizon. Beyond its technical promise, the Manta also functioned as a psychological weapon. Rivals in China and Russia knew that the United States could revive these ideas at any time, forcing them to pour resources into catching up. In the high-stakes competition for air superiority, perception can matter just as much as performance. And the mere possibility of the Manta's return has been enough to keep competitors on edge. The global air combat chess game. The US, China, and Russia rarely admit it outright, but they are locked in an endless arms race of innovation. Each new fighter, missile test, or stealth breakthrough is part of a quiet contest for supremacy. The X-44 Manta, even as a concept, played its part in this silent rivalry. It reminded the world that America's defense industry doesn't just aim to keep up, it aims to leap far ahead, leaving others scrambling to follow. And that wraps up today's deep dive into the X-44 Manta, the jet that could change the skies forever. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next look at the future of military tech. Tap the notification bell so you're the first to know when we upload new videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.